in my mind. Sometimes you cross my mind. Wonder what you done. Sometimes thinking about you all alone. So all alone. One thing I hope for sure. Oh, I hope you're feeling fine. Hope you're doing well. Oh, I don't wish nothing but good for everything happened for you in your life. Oh, I wish you well. Hope you're doing good. I don't want nothing but the best for you in your life. Hope you're doing better than before. Oh, baby. Oh, I haven't seen you for a while. But sometimes you cross my mind. Think about you sometimes when I'm all alone. Oh, I'll make my raise me hands together. A lot of things we got together, so it's hard to forget.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 39 of the Brooklyn Knitfolk podcast. My name is Jaclyn. You can find me on Instagram, Ravelry, basically every social media is at Jaclyn Salem. Show notes for this podcast and all other podcasts can be found in the Brooklyn Knitfolk Ravelry group, although I have not been very good about putting up show notes lately, I think for the past 2 or 3 episodes, so sorry about that. I probably will not. If you have any questions about those few episodes that I haven't been able to put up show notes for, please feel free to just message me in the episode thread. I'll still create an episode thread, or you can always ask your questions in the comments section below. I hope you guys have had a really great couple of weeks. I have been, as I said last episode, taking full advantage of all that New York has to offer in the summertime. Just yesterday, in fact, I saw Shakespeare in the Park's production of A Midsummer Night's Dream with Mina of the Knitting Expat podcast and her friend Kristen, who was able to get us tickets for that. So thank you so much, Kristen. It was a pleasure to meet you, and I could not have enjoyed that show more. It was so funny. If you live in the New York area, I highly recommend trying to get tickets for Shakespeare in the Park. It is a free show, but you do have to queue up quite early the day of in order to get tickets. Like, we're talking probably 7 or 8 a.m. So it is worth the wait, though, I will say, but can be a little challenging to get tickets. There's also an online lottery. Anyway, I'm rambling right now. Let's get into the episode, shall we? So before we begin, I want to go ahead and tell you that I have closed the thread for the Hanalisa Heifer Camp bag. Thank you so much for all of your incredible comments. Normally my giveaway thread prompt, if you will, is 3 good things that have, not 6, 3 good things that have happened to you in the past 24 hours. But for this one particular giveaway, I switched it up and asked if you could, if skies were the limit, what would you want to see on the podcast? So many of you left such nice responses. Thank you so much. There seemed to be a lot of concern that there was going to be change. That's not the case at all. I'm basically crowdsourcing information because I've just had a few ideas for how I can improve or add to the content of the Brooklyn Knitfolk channel, and I was kind of trying to get a pulse on what I knew what I had in mind with what you guys would probably want to see. But it was, you guys definitely confirmed that for me. So thank you so much. It seems like everyone really loves the idea of more sewing tutorials. Tutorials in general I think a lot of people come to my podcast because I'm fairly new at knitting, but not new to sewing. So I feel like it's probably very approachable for a lot of people, maybe. That's at least the idea that I get. I hope that's the case. If you have any questions at all about anything, really, please feel free to email me, brooklynknitfolk@gmail.com. Comments down below, questions in the Ravelry group, message me, whatever. I'm totally happy to try to answer your questions as best I can. We're all learning together. I'm not a knowledge hoarder. I'm very much a knowledge sharer. So I do believe a lot of tutorials will be coming out in the future. Stay tuned for that. And yeah, so thank you again so much for your amazing feedback. No worries on any crazy changes. There's not going to be any of that happening, but I did get a lot of good feedback, so thank you so much for that. So now we'll jump into finished objects for knitting. And I have one, although it's sort of finished. I mean, one sock is completely done. And the other one I just have to Kitchener the toe, but unfortunately I cannot find my darning needle anywhere. I don't know, like I had 2 or 3. How are those things always getting lost? I digress, but I'm very excited to have these off of the needles because I love these socks so much. This colorway is absolutely amazing. This is the Sweet Sparrow yarns in There's Coffee in That Nebula colorway, which is a colorway inspired by Star Trek. I've never seen Star Trek, but you don't have to love Star Trek to love this yarn, so I bought it anyway. And it's just beautiful. It's a self-striping yarn. Each stripe is about 3 to 4 rows depending on your gauge. I knit my socks in a 56 stitch cast on, 2x2 rib, a sizable length of leg. I like a longer leg myself. A Fish Lips Kiss heel, which I just love that this worked out for my gauge to have half, like 1 stripe on each half of the heel. I love that. Little touches like that. And then a rounded toe. So that's my socks. There's really not a lot else to say about it. It is her Stellina base, sparkly yarn. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see that or not, but it is quite sparkly. I love gold Stellina yarn. I think it's so fun to work with. I would only use it for socks, but I do love it. So yay, I can't wait to wear these. Although I have been considering giving them as a gift. As much as I love them, I do think there's quite a knitworthy person who should enjoy these, but I do love them. Love those. So that's my first finished, well, my only finished object, really. There's actually, in fact, now that I say that, quite a bit of the actual projects themselves that I've been working on, quite thin on the ground with actual content to show you this time. I've had a lot of visitors here, and so just not a lot of time to really knit. And of course, like I said, summer in full swing in New York. I've been taking lots of advantage of all of those things. So I don't have a lot of actual knitting content to show you, but I feel like I do have quite a bit to talk to you about. So I'll move on. The next thing is my sweater. I just kind of wanted to check in with you on this. I don't really think I'm going to go into full details. If you want, you can watch previous episodes of this, but this is the Laurel cardigan. I did bind off the bottom, and I don't think it called for it, but I'm pretty sure it didn't call for it, but I decided to do an I-cord bind off along the bottom, and I just think it gives it a really finished look as opposed to just a regular bind off, which I'm pretty sure is what's called for in the pattern. And then right now I'm just knitting around the collar, I guess, if you will, and I think I have about 4 inches left to go on that. The rows are quite long, and then I will be finished with this. I cannot wait. I don't know if I'm going to put buttons on it or not. I do kind of have some toggle dreams because I love wooden toggle buttons. I don't know why, but I think it would look amazing on this, but I'll see once I bind it off what I think will look best once I have it on. But yes, I just love this cardigan. It's been an absolute dream. The yarn is so special. Really farmhouse kind of, but soft rustic yarn. It's a BFL, Blue Face Leicester sheep yarn, and it's super soft and also durable. It has an incredible halo to it. It's just, I love it. I love it so much. A double seed stitch cardigan. So it's been a labor of love. You alternate knitting and purling every single row. So it's been a lot, but I cannot wait to have this off the needles and to wear it at Rhinebeck. I have this crazy idea. I'm pretty sure I mentioned this in my last episode, that I'm dying to have a sweater for every day that I'm at Rhinebeck. So I have one that I made earlier this year, the Brooking sweater. This will be my second one. And then my third one will be the sweater I'm casting on for the hashtag BK Hipster Cal, which I will talk about now. So if all goes according to plan, I've had some major computer issues the past week. I have not had access to my computer in the past week. So if all goes according to plan and I get my computer back tomorrow, which is Monday, then the Cal, the BK Hipster Cal, will start tomorrow, technically, which should be Tuesday. So hopefully this will go up by Monday, tomorrow. I'm so excited. Tuesday is the cast-on day for the BK Hipster Cal, which, if you are not aware for some reason, is a cal that I'm hosting from August 1st to October 31st. So a nice long 3-month cal where you can knit any project on Ravelry that has under 30 projects logged on Ravelry. The only stipulations that I have for things that are not allowed are like miniature things like ornaments. You need to have a minimum of 50 grams of yarn used in your project. So if you want to knit ornaments, great, you just have to knit 50 grams worth of ornaments. So some people knit slower than others. I realize this, so I don't want to get too strict, and I'm not a strict person when it comes to cals, but I'm so delighted with how many people are choosing to knit sweaters. I think this is a perfect sweater cal because, like I said, 3-month cal, and we're going into festival season, so you can wear your sweaters to whatever respective festival you are going to. I will be going to Rhinebeck. I'm so excited. You get an extra bonus entry in the finished objects thread if you use a yarn that you have not used before. So that's really exciting. And then somebody, I can't remember who it was, I popped in the thread yesterday. I have been responding to all of the posts. I tend to not do it on the weekends because I don't have my computer with me and it's just hard to respond on my phone. But definitely throughout the week I'll get back to you at some point. But somebody made a comment about how maybe we could have like an extra prize for whoever has the best hipster photo, which I just think is such a great idea. Yes, absolutely. We will definitely do a prize for the best hipster photo. So whatever you can come up with, I cannot wait to see these pictures. I absolutely love that idea. So thank you so much to whoever came up with that. I love it. It's genius. And on the note of prizes, if you are interested in donating a prize for the Hipster Cal, please get in touch with me. I would be happy to accept donations from any makers for this cal and share your lovely makes with the world. So please let me know. BrooklynKnitfolk@gmail.com would be the best way to get in touch with me about that. So that's that. So my sweater that I'm going to be knitting, it's perfect. It's so perfect. You think you know what it is, but you might not. So I posted on Instagram with the sweater I thought I was going to be making, and that was the Kong Vinta Gensa. That's my best Norwegian, sorry. It's a beautiful colorwork sweater, colorwork pullover, and I do love that pattern. However, it is entirely in Norwegian, and it's also knit in Aran weight yarn. The Norwegian part has been posing most of the problem. I did try to kind of get on Google and some other resources that people gave me to try to translate it, and I did have someone who very kindly, who is Norwegian, offered to translate the pattern for me. I was planning on taking her up on that, but then it's also an Aran weight, and I really want to knit a fingering weight or DK weight sweater, but that's just going to be too much, I think, to try to finagle down to such a lower weight. Worsted weight maybe I could get away with. So those two things combined, I was just like, maybe I should go back to the drawing board. And it's funny because I just posted on Instagram yesterday that I was going to knit the Kong Winter sweater, Kong Winter Genser, which is King Winter sweater. And, or I think it was translated as Father Frost sweater too. So I went back to my queue and I noticed this sweater that I had put into my queue a long time ago, and for some reason, I don't know why I didn't notice it, it's so similar to the Kong Winter Genser, and it's called the Bohème sweater, I believe. Let me confirm that. Yes, it's called the Bohème sweater by Randy Helm Debus. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing that properly, but she's Pharaoh Knit on Instagram. I'll be sure to put all that information on the screen right now for you to look at. This sweater is gorgeous, so similar to the other one I was thinking of knitting, except it doesn't have the color work on the sleeves and on the bottom, which I really, really liked about that other sweater. So I think I'm going to try to incorporate the same Fair Isle pattern of the yoke in the Bohème sweater onto the bottom. I'll apply the same stitch pattern to the bottom and to the sleeves and have to do some math to make sure that the repeat of the pattern will fit, but that is my current plan. I really love this sweater. I cannot wait to knit it, and I'm pretty sure my main color, I haven't bought the yarn yet, but I'm pretty sure my main color I want to do either red or forest green. And I haven't thought about what the contrast color is going to be yet, but I do know I want an either mostly red or a mostly forest green sweater in my wardrobe. I just love the idea of having a red sweater. I'm very attracted to it. So that is my plan for the BK Hipster Cow. I will hopefully be yarn shopping sometime after work this week. I really want to finish that cardigan first anyway, but I still go get the yarn so I can cast on Tuesday with everybody. I'm so stoked about this cowl and so excited with how much everyone really seems to be getting excited about it as well. The Ravelry chatter thread is insane, out of control, amazing. You will add so much to your queue if you look through that chatter thread. I guarantee it. I've added so many patterns to my queue from it. So BK Hipster Cow, very excited about that. And then I guess the next thing I want to show you is a very new cast on, as in yesterday. So I wanted to work on, let's pop really quick and show you. I really wanted to work on my scrappy Knox Yarn Co. socks yesterday while I was out at the Shakespeare in the Park A Midsummer's Night Dream show, but I couldn't decide if I was going to do a Fish Lips Kiss heel or go to find the best free short row heel I could find, because I need to be testing out some different heels right now, and I'll get to that in a second as to why. I did eventually put in a Fish Lips Kiss heel, but it meant that I put this sock on hold and could not knit it yesterday. So instead of knitting that, I just brought a ball of Felici with me, and I cast on the Lost Lakes colorway, and this is what I knit yesterday during the show and on the subway ride. I was very speedy with this. Normally I'm not this speedy with my socks. It's kind of crazy how much I knit yesterday. For the first time, I don't really, for the most part, I look at my needles while I'm knitting them. I can sort of do a few stitches without looking, but I get very not confident about it and oh, did I split it? Did I mess up? I never do. I'm usually fine, but because it was so dark and because I wanted to pay attention to the show, I didn't look at it, and I was like, it's just Felici. If I split some stitches, if it's not perfect, it's fine. This is a good way to practice knitting without looking. And I got so much done. Maybe it was just the action of A Midsummer Night's Dream, I don't know, but I got a lot done. So again, this is Felici. It's a self-striping yarn made by Knit Picks, and if you don't already know about Felici, you've got to try it. Felici, in my opinion, is amongst some of the softest sock yarn out there, and it is so affordable, so affordable. I can't remember for sure exactly how much, but less than $13 for a full, maybe with shipping, maybe not, but it's really, really cheap. So, or inexpensive, I guess I should say. And so soft. I absolutely love it. The thing with Felici is that some people have complained that their colors and the striping can be really close to one another. There's always one that's super, super close to one. And I guess if I had to say, like, these aren't exactly, you can tell a difference. It's not like they're super high contrast, but I mean, I guess that this is sort of in that same vein of complaints, but for the price and the softness of the yarn, to me it can't be beat. And it's a 75-25 superwash merino and nylon. There's not even cashmere in this, but it's so soft. In fact, a dyer that I know who used to dye, she used to use in her early days Felici, bare Felici to dye with. And no joke, my softest socks that I have in my stash were that yarn. So I really can't speak highly enough of Felici. I really, really recommend that you try it if you haven't already. And self-striping socks, as you know, they go so fast because you're just kind of knitting away until you get to the next stripe, and then one more stripe, and then one more stripe, etc., etc. So my similar recipe, 56 stitch cast on, 2x2 rib, and I usually knit 20 rounds of ribbing. Unless it's a self-striping sock, then I just make it work for however long looks appropriate to finish a full stripe. So for example, I'm not gonna stop, this looks probably, I don't know, maybe a stitch or a row or two shy of 20 stitches, but I'm not gonna go into this next stripe and have half of it be ribbed and half of it not. I'd rather just stop at the end of the stripe in work, or the work in progress stripe, if you will. So I am loving how these are turning out. Lost Lakes was a colorway that sold out really, really fast the first time they released it, and so they brought it back a second time because it was so popular. So I'm really glad that I got it on that second round because I really, really love it. I have probably, I think, three more socks worth of Felici in my stash, so I'm glad that I do. It's my first time knitting with Felici from Knit Picks. Like I said, knit with what I know is the Felici bare yarn base before from an indie dyer, but this is my first time knitting with the actual Knit Picks self-striping Felici, and I'm very, very pleased with it. So it's that. And I'm on the heel now, so I'll be looking up good free short row heel patterns. If you have a favorite, leave them in the comments. And that's living in my Hanalisa Heifer Camp bag. This is the one I just did a giveaway for over on Ravelry. Ravelry's the place to be, you guys, if you want to win prizes. I just do one after the other, and there's already another one in there. It is Becky Sorensen, Soprano Knits. She has a sock pattern that she designed and offered one as a giveaway on the podcast, to which I said, of course. I'll pop in a picture of it here for you to look at, but Candace of Pin Feathers and Pearls podcast, she recently knit a pair of socks in these in Becky's pattern, and it's beautiful. So go enter for a chance to win a pattern prize giveaway over on Ravelry, and feel free to support her and buy her sock pattern if you just want it now. Okay. Any other knitting works in progress? Oh yes, I guess I should mention this real quick. So before I cast on those Felici socks, I thought I'll cast on this ball of self-patterning yarn, or what I thought was self-patterning yarn that was in my stash. Turns out when I was knitting this, I was like, what the hell? Like, what is this? This is what it was looking like knit up. I didn't frog the whole little cuff yet because I wanted to show you. But I assume that not all of their colorways are like this. This is the, in fact, I know they're not. The Skopel Wonder Klex? I don't know. Anyway, the colorway is number 2132 Rosenholz. And it doesn't have a picture of what the stock yarn is supposed to look like, but I Googled it. When I got to work, I had knit this little part of the cuff here, and I was like, what is this even, the pooling? I'm just not a big fan of pooling personally. It's not really my aesthetic. So I looked it up, and sure enough, the whole sock is like a giant pooling. It almost looks marble-ish, but not quite. I don't know. I just wasn't a fan of it. So different strokes for different folks. I know that some people would love this, so I don't know, maybe I'll give it away as a giveaway, maybe I'll destash it. Watch out Instagram if you're really interested in this sock yarn. Like I said, like different people love different things, so it just wasn't for me. So I'll either give it away as a giveaway or I'll destash it on my Instagram. I'll make a post about it whenever I do that. Okay, I don't have to frog this on screen for you. Okay, and then other knitting works in progress that I want to show you before I move into sewing. I guess the last thing I'll talk about. So I just mentioned a second ago that I'm interested in trying out other short row heel patterns that are free, that are not the Fish Lips Kiss heel. Generally, I knit the Fish Lips Kiss heel whenever I do socks because it's very easily memorized. I know the pattern, I like how it fits, I'm not dissatisfied with the Fish Lips Kiss heel in any way. However, recently, as someone who is very much the kind of person who likes to tweak or modify or make things myself or go rogue, I have patterns in mind all the time that I would like to knit, and then I'll just try to go to Ravelry to look for a pattern that may or may not fit the aesthetic of what I'm looking for. And lately I find that more often than not, the things that I have in my head, I'm just not finding on Ravelry, so I'm becoming really interested in designing patterns. I'm just gonna put that out there. I don't know where that's gonna lead me. I've bought a stitch dictionary. I bought this stitch dictionary today at Strand Bookstore in hopes that like maybe I can apply kind of some ideas that I have in my head to designs, I guess, that I have in my head. So I thought the best way to start would be with a sock. And that's just because I've knit so many socks now that I'm very familiar and understand the construction of socks. I'm very comfortable with tweaking socks, any pattern that I look at in order to fit the aesthetic I'm looking for. And my mom also really wants a pair of socks. So I think for Christmas, what better way to start off with trying out some designing than with a present for her. And so I went through my stash. I asked her which colors, color family she'd be most interested in. She gave me a range. I sent her a video of all the different skeins in my stash that could fit the bill. And this is the one that she chose. This is Malabrigo sock in the Marte colorway. M-A-R-T-E. And it's this gorgeous autumnal, very red, brown, green, some purple. It's definitely been over-dyed. There's some golden. It's just a mostly red, but a very autumnal overall skein of yarn. I absolutely love this. So I have an idea for a pattern in mind, so I'll be designing something while I knit this up. So I'm really excited about it. I have a couple patterns in mind that I know are not on Ravelry because I've already searched for them. So we'll see what I kind of go with or what the yarn. I'm going to swatch the yarn a little bit first in stockinette and kind of see how it plays, and then I'll cast on a design. So I'm really excited about it. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, your favorite short row heel patterns, throw them at me, because I'm not really interested in designing, I guess, sock architecture, for lack of a better word. I think that there are lots out there, and I'm sure there's lots that can be improved upon, or there's something for everybody as far as heels go. So for me, just what, a basic good short row heel to put into patterns until I decide if I want to design, my own heel at some point. But we'll see. So I'm very excited about that. And again, that's Malabrigo sock in the Marte colorway. I've had this in my stash for quite a while, so I'm excited to use it because it does call to me. It's one of those skeins, every time I see it, I'm like, oh, it's always a contender for a next step to knit, but then I just pick something else. So I'm really excited that my mom chose this so I can finally knit it up and see how it looks. I'm just really curious about how this will look. Okay, so that's that. And I guess now I'll move on into sewing. All right. I'm drinking a cold adult beverage. I hope you guys have got something tasty to sip on or some tea to drink or whatever most suits you. But okay, sewing. So I have started a new sewing project. You've probably seen on Instagram or my Instagram stories. In the last episode, I showed you some striped fabric that I've been working with, or that I purchased. Sorry, I am working with it now, but at that point it was only purchased. And it looks like this. It's kind of like a denim, it's not denim fabric, but the color of it is very denim chambray kind of texture, and it's a apparel fabric. I don't know a whole lot about fabric selection, quite honestly. I don't know the difference between the names of a lot of them. I know some of them, but not all of them. So all I know is that this is an apparel fabric, has a good amount of stretch to it for a woven fabric. It feels very breathable. It's just this stripe. And so I was going over some of the different pattern options that I was thinking about for this pattern. I knew that I wanted whatever pattern I used had to make it so that I could do a horizontal stripe across the center bodice and a vertical stripe along the side of the bodice. So I knew that whatever pattern I chose had to enable me to do that feature with this fabric, because I think it would be a shame to not use the stripe in a way that I really wanted to. So I ended up going with the Sew Over It Rosy Dress. This is a pattern by Sew Over It London. They have some very popular patterns. If you haven't heard of Sew Over It, I highly recommend checking them out. And the instructions, excellent. So the Sew Over It dress, or the Rosy Dress, sorry. Rosy Dress by Sew Over It, and I'm gonna be making option 1, version 1 here. And it has kind of like this collar and thicker straps, as opposed to option 2, which doesn't have the collar. It's a sweetheart neckline and spaghetti straps. And then option 3 is just the skirt. So it's a very versatile, usable pattern. But yes, love option 1. So that's what I'm going with. And so far I have cut out all the pieces, which, if you know me, is a feat in and of itself. If I could just have a magic cutting out fairy for everything I do, that would be amazing. However, I do not, so cut out all the pieces and I have put together the bodice. So this is the bodice portion, and this is the lining of the bodice. So this is Rifle Paper Company. You may think this is super luxurious to use as a lining, and it is, but again, if you've been following me on Instagram at Jaclyn Salem, you will know that I helped 2 of my friends put together their first ever garment projects. I don't think either of them have touched a sewing machine. I think one of them has never used a sewing machine, and the other one hasn't used one for at least a decade. So that is how simple the Ogden cami is. That's not what I'm holding up right now. Sorry, I shouldn't hold that up. I'll insert a picture here of the 3 of us wearing our Ogden camis. That is a very great intro project to sewing. Fabulous. If they can do it, so can you. Anyway, there was a little bit of leftover fabric from both of their Ogden camis, so I pilfered it. You'll see a little bit, you know, I had to kind of use the edge of the selvage edge there, but I'm not too worried about it. So this is only going to be on the inside anyway. So I thought this would be really nice to have and luxurious to have as a lining, and it would look super pretty. It might be upstaging my main fabric a bit, but it's soft and I think it will look beautiful as the lining. So this is, again, this is the bodice, lining, main bodice, and then I have the straps done, which I have so lovingly pattern matched. That's a seam there, sorry. Pattern matched the stripes. Whenever you have a pattern fabric, like a stripe especially, or a plaid, or you know, something like that, you always want to make sure you have a little bit extra fabric than what the pattern calls for, because you'll need that in order to pattern match your pieces together. It's not as important for this bodice because I'm doing it in a different direction than some of the pattern pieces, so it's not noticeable. But say, for example, I was cutting out everything horizontal stripes, I would need to kind of take extra care to make sure that these horizontal stripes matched up with each other, and sometimes that requires more fabric and moving the pattern pieces down and, you know, etc., etc. So whenever you're working with fabric that is patterned and needs to be matched in some way, definitely make sure you order a little bit extra fabric. I'd say at least half a yard to another yard worth of fabric, depending on the pattern. So these are my bodices and straps. I have my skirt pieces on the floor over there. I'm not going to bring them over here because they're still all pinned to the paper. But I will say, I probably would have been finished with this dress already if I hadn't been filming the whole thing for maybe a tutorial. We shall see. So yeah, so I'm really excited about making this dress, and hopefully we'll be able to teach some of you how to make it if you're so interested. And yeah, so that's my sewing project. Rosy Dress by Sew Over It, current project. The pattern instructions, like I said, are fabulous, super thorough, on par, I would say, with Tilly and the Buttons patterns, who really do a great job of holding your hand, especially for first time garment sewers. I'm not by any means like an expert at it, but I do know my way around a sewing pattern and the things to look out for and what the different symbols mean, etc., etc. So these are very much on par with Tilly and the Buttons patterns in making sure that you kind of understand what is expected at each step. So yes, really recommend the Sew Over It patterns. And then that's it for things I've actually been working on. There are a few patterns that I want to show you that I got in the mail this week. Vogue was having a sale. It was $6 patterns for any pattern online. I'm not sure, I think that sale might be over with, but you just kind of have to watch online. As far as big four patterns go, Vogue's are definitely the more expensive. The other ones are McCall's, Butterick, Simplicity. I think those are like the big four. There's some other ones like Berta Style and New Look, or some other ones. I don't know which own which, like maybe I think McCall's kind of owns Vogue patterns, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know, I could be speaking completely out of turn. Either way, Vogue patterns can be a little bit on the pricier side, and a lot of times that's because their patterns are designed by actual famous designers. So Natalie Mishka, Rachel Kami, Isaac Mizrahi, I'm pronouncing that name wrong, I know it, but whatever, you get the idea. Vogue patterns are often designed, a lot of them are designed by famous actual designers. So, I mean, everyone's an actual designer. If you work for McCall's and design patterns, you're an actual designer. But what I'm trying to say is they have kind of like more famous people that are in the spotlight designing patterns for them. So this is one that I've had my eye on. Ada Sprague, or Sprague, I think it's Ada Sprague. She has the most amazing handmade wardrobe on Instagram. I'm just like following everything she does, have the notifications turned on. Her Instagram subtitle, like you can kind of have like a blurb for yourself, you know? Hers is like, what if your favorite piece of clothing was made by you? And I really, really love that notion. Just like, what if your favorite piece of clothing was made by you? Wouldn't you feel so special and amazing every time you wore it? It would just make it that much better. Anyway, she made this top pattern here. This is Rachel Kami for Vogue. This is V1507, and it's kind of like a flowier top with this back that has kind of a bow detail on it. Here is the illustration. It also comes with a pants pattern that has this sideways zip on it. I'm not sure how keen I am on these pants. I really just bought this for the top, I'm not gonna lie. And I really just want to make the same exact one that Ada Sprague made. It's like this gorgeous white linen fabric. So this is definitely going in the upcoming sewing queue. I cannot wait to make this. Because it's so flowy, it does, and it looks like it has kind of like a double layer here of fabric. It does require quite a bit of fabric for a top. So it's looking like 3 yards for a top, which is quite a bit. So it does call for quite a bit of fabric, but for me, this will totally be worth it. I cannot wait to make this pattern. And then the other one, my good friend Grace, who lives very near, she lives also in Bay Ridge. She is a technical designer. She has an amazing Instagram stories. I'll pop her Instagram here on the screen. I hope she doesn't mind. Sorry, Grace, I hope you don't mind. But I learn so much from her every single time she does anything on her Instagram story. She goes very in depth about and just like uses her knowledge to share about like how to alter patterns to fix your body, or you know what she's doing to change a pattern, just things that I would not have thought about unless I watched her Instagram stories. And I'm like, I could do that. She kind of feels like it enables you to feel like you can do it too, I guess. Anyway, she made this dress. This is Vogue, Very Easy Vogue, V9251, and it's a wrap dress. And this one is not for jersey. This one's for wovens. It's for rayon challis, crepe de chine. It says lightweight jersey, so you can use lightweight jersey. But she made a version of this dress, and it's absolutely beautiful. I cannot wait to make my own. I love this. I think this could be a contender for a Rhinebeck dress. We'll see. My Rosie dress will definitely be one of them. Like I said, I want to have a whole handmade outfit for every day that I'm at Rhinebeck. So the Rosie dress will be one. This could be another one. I love it. And then the next pattern is one that I purchased a long time ago, actually, but I just keep forgetting to mention it on the podcast for whatever reason, probably because it's a PDF pattern and not a paper pattern. And that is the Rosary skirt by Pauline and Alice, a gorgeous 70s inspired style skirt. I love anything that looks remotely 70s. I'm so into it. I think if I could like go back to a decade, the 70s probably would have been the one for me. I don't know, I say that, but I love fashion from all eras. I just kind of take inspiration from all of them, but I do love a lot of 70s patterns, and I wish that McCall's and Simplicity, like I wish that they would start bringing those back into their vintage reprints, because there's just so many good ones I'm sure that they have. But the Rosary skirt, a 70s inspired skirt. I was first alerted to this by, I'm blanking on her name right now, but she's Gingerella J on Instagram. She made an amazing version of this dress out of corduroy fabric, and I loved it. So that, I think, will definitely be a contender for a Rhinebeck, partial Rhinebeck outfit at least. So I'll do that, and maybe an Agnes top to go with it. I have sewn an Agnes top. An Agnes top is by Tilly and the Buttons, and that's a really great pattern as well. So I just have all of these sewing ideas and things that I want to make, and I would love to film all of these as I'm making them so that I could share how to do them with everybody. But filming it does mean that it takes like, God, 3 times the time it takes to just make it if I was going through it and sewing it, because I have to stop the camera and start it and adjust the angle of the camera and the angle of the sewing machine and all of this stuff. So I have some new equipment on the way, in the way of a tripod and a new camera and stuff like that. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that will make that whole process easier in the future. But suffice to say, I have so many sewing ideas right now and things I want to make. I'm just so inspired and excited for the fall right now. The weather has just been amazing. So I think that's it that I would like to talk to you about in terms of knitting and sewing. There are a couple acquisitions. Oh no, sorry, one more sewing thing. So not last week, the week before, I was lucky enough to get a spot at the Madeline, Simplicity by Madeline kind of bra making course, if you will. It wasn't exactly a class, it was more just like a chat about bras with Madeline, who is a wonderful lingerie designer. She's one of the more well-known ones, especially because of her Instagram account. And she did a collaboration with Simplicity. She collaborates with them on some lingerie patterns. So here's one right here that I got. I've never made one of her patterns before, so I'm excited to try it out. This one is Simplicity 8436, and it comes with a bra pattern and a panty, a thong. So it was just a wonderful chat about bra making, and just we could answer or ask our questions if we have them, and we got a really great opportunity to chat with some of the ladies who work at Simplicity, and you know, just they're interested in how people are getting into garment sewing again, because they're seeing a resurgence in the making of clothes, which is so exciting. I loved to hear that, and just kind of, I guess, trying to get our thoughts for the people who were there about why we got into garment sewing in the first place, and the things we're inspired by, and how we hear about patterns. And so of course I told them all about podcasts, Instagram, like get on it, you know, because that's at least where I hear about most of my inspiration. Anyway, they gave us this amazing tote bag filled with, like I said, the pattern and then some other goodies like some Let's Talk bras, like an essentials, like kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like a syllabus, I guess, of what we talked about in the talk with Madeline, and then some other little goodies. So that was super fun. And that was hosted by Brooklyn Craft Company. If you live in the Brooklyn, New York area and you're interested in taking classes, they have very affordable classes on their website. So you can look them up, not to take online, but to take in the store. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but the last time I checked, when I was first learning how to knit, I was kind of price comparing the different like intro to knitting classes. And I mean, in general, like knitting, like yarn stores were charging probably a minimum of like $60 for a big class to learn how to knit. And if I'm not mistaken, Brooklyn Craft Company, I think theirs was like in the 30-ish realm or something. So their class prices are super reasonable, and they also have a really wide variety of classes that you can take too. So things like weaving, embroidery, drawing botanical plants was one of them. There's like a whole bunch on there. So if you, like I said, live in the Brooklyn or New York area, definitely check out Brooklyn Craft Company and see what classes they have available if you're interested in that. So, and then the last things I want to show you are some acquisitions. Very brief, not a lot. These were a gift from the lovely Becky, Soprano Knits. She has the Stringing It Together podcast. She stayed with me this week for a few days on her return back to Germany and brought me these linen goodies. This is a light fingering weight. The brand is Lino Muka. I love these colors so much, and I love them together. Together, they make up 100 grams of linen yarn, 245 meters per skein. I'm not exactly sure what to do this. I don't think I'm the kind of person that will knit, a linen tee or like short sleeve tees or anything like that. I am attracted to the idea of knitting a linen sweater at some point, but obviously this isn't enough for a sweater. So if you have suggestions for like a market bag or something that can use 100 grams of light fingering linen yarn, or really anything, let me know. And then last but certainly not least, Knox Yarn Co. I can never resist when Danielle has mini skeins up for sale in her shop. And these pastels, this pastel set, sorry, I pulled out the yellow one earlier just to kind of look at it. I was thinking about adding it to my socks that I had, but I decided not to. Look at these pastel beauties. Just look at them. They're so gorgeous. Some of these I know the name of. This one's Cheering Charm, which I had bought a full skein of a long time ago. I think this one's Of Love and Monsters or something like that, a Doctor Who reference. This one looks like Fairy Bites, Pistachio Rose Frosting, Lumiere. How crazy is it that I know the names of her colorways this well? That's kind of creepy. But I think the rest of them I don't really know. So that's 3 of them that I don't know. So I got 5. Anyway, I'm obsessed with her colorways. I love these. I bought them specifically for my blanket, and into my blanket they will go. Oh, hello. What are you doing? You want to say hi? Come here. This is Jafar, my sweets. Say hello. Hello. Yeah, Knox Yarn Co. That's my other acquisition. With that, I think we're at the end of the podcast. It seems like Jafar came just in the right time to say goodbye, huh? I need to brush you again. I bought them a Furminator. Oh my gosh. Revolutionary. If you have a pet that sheds fur, get yourself a Furminator immediately, if not sooner. They are amazing. The amount of fur that it will take off of their undercoat, I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked. I did post a picture on my Instagram of it if you're curious about it, but it's amazing. I was inspired after seeing Mina, who's the knitting expat. I saw hers in action. And when I first saw this Furminator pet brush, I was like, get out of here. Like $50 for a pet brush. Mine wasn't $50 though. I got it on Amazon for $30. But it was like, it's expensive for a pet brush. And then I saw hers in action and I was like, whoa, this thing works. So just saying, I think I actually have it around here somewhere. Yep. Not sponsored, just a fan. This thing is amazing. Amazing. All right, with that, I'll leave you until the next episode. Don't forget to enter to win the amazing sock pattern on Ravelry. And then there's also the BK Hipster Cal, which starts soon, hopefully tomorrow by the time you guys see this. So take care, happy making, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. See ya.